Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agumofwebe. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nigecomsat with its parameters showing on your screen. President Bola Tinubu has embarked on a trip to France, departing from Abuja, the nation's capital. This is contained in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajire Ngalale, titled President Tinubu Travels to France. Although the presidency did not state the purpose of the president's visit, it says he will return to the country after his brief work stay in that country. Two former governors of Ogun State, Ibinkole Amosu and Gbenga Daniel, have vowed to support the federal government's efforts to recover the national assets seized by a French court. In 2007, Ogun State's government had entered into a joint venture agreement with Zhongshan and another company to create the Ogun Guangzhou Free Trade Zone Company. However, in the first half of 2016, the agreement between the parties had broken down, leading to Zhongshan filing lawsuits in Nigeria's federal and state courts to seek reinstatement of its contractual rights, which failed. After taking the case before the French court, the company was awarded damages. The court prohibited Nigeria from moving or selling 3 presidential jets until the Chinese firm was paid the $74.5 million awarded by the court. In a different development, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, to disclose the exact amount of monthly running costs allocated to members of the National Assembly. SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, on behalf of the organization, also requested that the leaders provide an account of the spending details of any such running costs. SERAP's request follows recent controversy surrounding the jumbo pay received by each senator. The ruling People's Democratic Party in Bauchi State has won all 20 local government chairmanship seats in Saturday, August 11 local government elections. Executive Chairman of the Bauchi State's Independent Electoral Commission, Ahmed Makama, announced the results at his office following the conclusion of the exercise. However, the All Progressives Congress has rejected the results, describing them as fraudulent. Makama had declared the results, stating it was based on the powers vested in him by the relevant electoral laws as the Executive Chairman of the State's Independent Electoral Commission. The Nigeria Union of Pensioners says some retirees are still receiving 500 naira as monthly pensions in the country. Secretary of the union in Kaduna State, Alasan Musa, described the condition of the retirees as pathetic, stating that most of the affected ones were in precarious conditions. It is reported that worst affected are pensioners in most of the southern and oil-producing states, in spite of getting huge allocations from their federation accounts. Human rights organization Amnesty International says over 1,000 End Bad Governance protesters are currently in prison custody nationwide following the recent hunger protests. The protests, which were held between August 1st and 10th, turned violent in some parts of the country with reports of looting and vandalism in several states. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetoku announced that the police had arrested some of the sponsors of rioters who hoisted foreign flags and called for a change of governments in states such as Kano, Kaduna, and Zamfara, among others. Now to security matters. Troops of the Nigerian Army have thwarted a terrorist attack on Salawa community in Benin-Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. The troops who were on patrol had cleared Maidaro and Ngadia villages before making contact with the terrorists. A statement by the Nigerian Army says the terrorists engaged the troops in a gunfight, noting that 2 terrorists were killed and weapons, as well as 11 motorcycles, were recovered after the operation. The federal government has mandated all higher institutions in the country to regularly submit their matriculation lists to the Federal Ministry of Education no later than 3 months after matriculation ceremonies. The lists, the government said, must be submitted through the dedicated channel of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. The initiative is one of the recommendations made by a committee set up by the federal government to combat fake degree mills or racketeers in the country. A Vietnam-bound businessman, Paul Mbaduga, has been arrested by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Mbaduga was apprehended after testing positive for ingesting cocaine. A statement by a spokesperson of the agency, Femi Babafemi, confirmed that Mbaduga excreted a total of 88 wraps of cocaine weighing 1.710 kilograms. Let's turn to Nigeria's northwest now, where Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State has directed the State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate alleged contract award for the supply of drugs to the 44 local government councils of the state. The governor also denied knowledge of the contracts said to have been recently awarded to one Musa Garaba Kwankwaso, believed to be the brother of the leader of the Kwankwasia movement, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. A U.S.-born filmmaker and content creator, Bello Galadanchi, had released a video alleging that Kano State government had directed all of its 44 local government councils to pay 10 million naira each for the supply of drugs, which was allegedly awarded to one company, Novoment, owned by Musa Garaba Kwankwaso. Members of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC accredited observer organizations have called on law enforcement agencies to refrain from harassing law-abiding Nigerians who carry out legitimate election duties. Edikon Michael has the report. We'll bring you the reports, and updates on that development in our subsequent bulletin. You're watching Media News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When the news returns, federal government moves to subsidize electricity for universities, hospitals. Please stay with us. This is Global Television bringing you a live broadcast of the Midday News with Uyi Agmofwegbe. We appreciate you for staying with us. Let's talk some business now. The federal government says it will start subsidizing electricity in universities and health institutions under Band A feeders. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu disclosed this in Ibadan, Oyo State capital. Adelabu, however, noted that the government would not subsidize private businesses operating in these universities and hospitals, after the federal government-owned had removed subsidies from customers categorized as Band A and upgraded their daily electricity supply to a minimum of 24 hours daily. Universities and public hospitals lamented that their energy bills had skyrocketed. The immediate past president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, Edwin Igbiti, says the institute will introduce fresh barriers to entry in the sector, which he said is struggling with low penetration. Some stakeholders in the insurance sector have stated that the proposed recapitalization would create new barriers to entry, but could also benefit the sector regardless of the outcome. A new bill entitled Nigeria Insurance Industry Reform Bill 2024 was introduced on the floor of the Senate recently, seeking to increase the minimum capital base of insurance companies. The Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, FAAC, has distributed a total of 1.358 trillion naira among the federal government, states, and local government councils for the month of July. This announcement was made in a communique following the committee's meeting held in Abuja. The total distributable funds of 1.358 trillion naira includes statutory revenue amounting to 161.593 billion naira. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden says he is optimistic that a Gaza ceasefire deal can be reached amid concerns that Iran may launch an attack on Israel for the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Biden said no one in the region should take actions to undermine this process. Hamas has expressed skepticism about the chances of a deal. And out to Asia, where doctors in India have begun a national strike, escalating the protest against the rape and murder of a female colleague in the West Bengal city of Kolkata. The Indian Medical Association, IMA, which is the country's largest grouping of doctors, says all non-essential hospital services will be shut down across the country. The association described last week's killing as a crime of barbaric scale due to the lack of safe spaces for women and asked for the country's support in its struggle for justice. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal says his country's first satellite has been successfully launched into orbit, noting that the move marked a major step towards the West African country's technological sovereignty. The GenderSat 1A satellite was launched at 6:56 p.m. last Friday from the Vandenberg base in California, the United States. In sports, Nigeria's representatives in this year's Confederation of African Football, Enugu Rangers, Remo Stars, Enyimba, and El Kanami Warriors will get $50,000 each as participation fees in the parliamentary stages of the Champions League and Confederation Cup. Nigerian champions Enugu Rangers and runners-up Remo Stars are representing the country in the Champions League, while Enyimba, who finished third in the NPFL, and President Federation Cup winners El Kanami Warriors are competing in the Confederation Cup. In a highly charged main event of UFC 305, South African fighter Dricus du Plessis has retained his middleweight title, defeating Nigerian-born Israel Adesanya by submission in the fourth round. The grudge match, which had been fueled by pre-fight tensions over race and identity, culminated in a dramatic turn of events as du Plessis secured the victory with a rare naked choke. Adesanya, a former two-time champion, came into the fight determined to reclaim the belt he had lost to Sean Strickland last September. Despite trailing 2-1 on the scorecards heading into the fourth round, du Plessis turned the tide with a series of powerful hooks and jabs, followed by a decisive takedown. A decisive takedown. That's instructive, isn't it? And that's it on the Midday News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV, channel 365, Star Times, channel 276, and now on free-to-air on Nigecomsat